Everwell Lab as well as on the real Everwell. First-time visitors will register by clicking the link Register. This includes associates as well as benefit administrators, HR, and business owners. Associates, you'll put in your Aflac email address and click Submit. Business owners or HR admins that have been set up in the account, when they first come here, they will put in that business account that you entered in. Also down here, I want to show you where you forgot your user ID and password. You may have to scroll down depending on the settings on your computer, but if anybody, the associate or your benefit administrator in your account, forgets their password, the user ID is always going to be assigned. For Aflac, it's the user ID we assigned you, your Aflac email address. For the administrators, it's the email address that you put into the Everwell system. However, the password they selected themselves. If they forget this, or if you forget this, enter in your email address, click Next, and follow the prompts. Now in this case, we're going to enter in our username and our password. I've already gone ahead and done that. Click the consent statement and sign into Everwell. Once inside Everwell, you will see a list of your existing accounts that you've already put in there. If this is your first time, it'll probably be blank, but we're going to go ahead and update that. Now in the lab, in the practice environment, we can use a group called Train. The group number is going to be called Train to import and load as many practice cases as you want so that you can practice, drill, and rehearse. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and create the active group. Key in the word Train. I'll select US. I'll select Paid in Advance and continue. On step 2 of 4, I will need to update some information. We will need to change some of this data so it reflects something in North Carolina where we are licensed and appointed. So let's change the group name. We're going to change the street address, the city, the state, and the zip code. For the general contact email address in the lab, you will want to put in your personal email address. In the real world, this would be the email address of the benefit administrator, the HR person, or the owner. But in the real lab environment, we want you to have that practice experience of seeing what the HR would go through with registering and making additions and changing. So put in your personal email address here so that you can act as the HR in the lab experience. Go ahead and click Continue. If this is your first time in the lab using your personal email address, you will want to create new. You would enter in I say an alter ego or a celebrity that you would want to pretend to be while in the lab. And again, you're going to enter in your personal email address. You're going to select their role and click Add. Now for me, I get an error message. The administrator with this email address already exists. Please select Import to search for the administrator. Because I have practiced in the lab more than one time, this email address is already in there. So in this case, I will simply select Import. I will enter in my email address. Once that's entered in, I will search, and it pulls up Peyton Manning, who is my make-believe administrator in the lab with my personal email address. I'm going to add and continue. Here in step 4 of 4, the billing information, we will select the contact person for billing. In this case, it's Peyton Manning, and that will populate the rest of the page. You could enter in somebody else if there's another person that handles or a third party that handles billing. In the lab also, it defaults to monthly pay frequency. I like to edit that to weekly. Click Complete Setup. We've now told the computer that this February 2017 new case, which is the group name, is in the platform, and we would like to do some additional things with it. The next step would be let's quote or do a proposal. This is also where we will upload the census. We click Add New Proposal and enter in the proposal's name. Now I suggest it's something relevant that you can remember instead of simply Proposal 1. In this case, we're going to quote Reliance Standard, long-term disability, and life insurance. So I'm going to put RSLI, guaranteed issue, long-term disability, and guaranteed issue, life, to 100,000. Coverage start date, I'm going to put 4/1 and continue. Here's where we enter in the census information. From here, we have a couple choices with regards to the census. If you're not very good with Excel spreadsheets, you can click Manual Input, and here's where you will be able to manually enter in the information that would normally appear in that Excel spreadsheet. After each person, you would select Save Employee. The information would bring down here, and you would do the next one. For us today, we are going to upload the census file, so I'm going to go back to Census File. For the most recent census template, you can click here. When you open up the census, it'll ask you to configure it, letting you decide whether you want it simplified, which are just the required cells, or complex, showing all the potential things we can enter. It'll also ask you if you're going to be offering disability or life, in which case you would answer yes or no depending on the situation. Here in this case, we're going to keep it simple, but we all are offering disability and life, so we're going to select yes and OK. As you can see, it's now added the columns for salary and average weekly hours. Here we can go ahead and start entering in the information for each employee. We want to start on that first red line and enter in the data for each of those employees. Once you've entered in everybody on the census, you can simply save it. And now we're back to the point where we can upload it. Choose File, find it on your computer, and upload. You can see the census was uploaded successfully. If there was an error up here, you would have to go back to the census and see what line item is incorrect and make an update. It brings the data down here so that I can see exactly how many employees, male or female, and what age demographic they are. Simply click Continue. Here it's going to ask you if you're offering United Healthcare. In this case, the answer is no. Here's now where we select the plans that we want to include in the proposal. Depending on which level of Everwell certification you are and where you hold your appointments, you will only be able to access the things that you are able to sell. That's okay. Level 1 producers, all you need to do to run a quote on some of the partner carriers or something that might be level 2 or 3 is invite one of them in and let them run this proposal for you. So we take a look here of all the different choices, and I'm going to keep this simple and keep it to some basic AFLAC policies and then the Reliance standard, which is really what I'm running to run a quote on. I'll go ahead and start that process now. As it says up here, Reliance Standard products are only eligible for groups that are in business for at least a year or more. That's just a little reminder. I'm going to do telemedicine, and we're going to do fraud protection as well. Now here we have a wide array of different accident coverages that I can select. In this particular proposal, I'm going to select the off-the-job only. Same goes with the hospital plan. Here I'm just going to select options 1 and 2, the guaranteed issued levels of the hospital plan. With short-term disability, I'm going to again choose options 3 months and 6 months because they are guaranteed issued. And in this proposal here for cancer, make your own choice. I'm going to keep it to the low-level one for just now. And now we get to the Reliance Standard Basic Life. This is really why we're running the proposal, at least for me anyway. And so I'm going to take a look at several choices and select them here. I'm going to look at $20,000. Read the message that Reliance Standard is putting up there to you. I'm also going to quote $30,000. I'll quote $50,000. I'll do $75,000. And I'll do $100,000. Remember, this is guaranteed issued life insurance that we can quote up to $100,000 per employee. That's pretty cool. Fraud protection, telemedicine, and then last but not least, the other reason why we're here is the long-term disability. Select both of those, read the disclaimer, and continue. So this is the summary of selected plans. You can go through and make any edits or changes that you see fit. In this case, I only selected one level of accident plan, 2 for hospital, 2 for short-term disability, and 1 for cancer. If this was a real case and we were setting up the plan year, I would probably choose additional coverage so that I would have a wide array of choices when sitting down with the employees. But the real reason I was running this quote for the last 4 things: the Reliance Standard life insurance, so I could have a bunch of different quotes to compare to, Aflac's fraud protection as well as telemedicine, and then long-term disability as well. Everything looks good here, so I'm going to continue and finalize the proposal. Now that the proposal is finalized, I can take a look at it by downloading it. I could email it to somebody, or I could delete it. I'm going to pull it up right here. And again, this is the lab, so we have the red disclaimer going through it, letting you know that this is not to distribute and not to really use. I'm going to scroll through this quickly and just get to a couple bullet points that I wanted to show you, but you can see how cool this looks. Right? It helps tell a story when presenting the value of Everwell and the vast array of products and services we offer. Now when we get to Reliance Standard, here's some really good information on them, letting you know that they have top superior ratings, that they're affordable, small business specialists, top tier company, etc. Here's some more information, reminding you that this is guaranteed issue, no employee medical questions are needed. This is employer paid coverage, right? The minimum benefit starts at $10,000, but depending on the size of the case, we can go up to $100,000 in coverage. It reminds you what's covered in this life insurance. So again, it helps you tell that story when conveying the value of this benefit to a business owner. And now here we get into the quotes. So again, in this 12 life case, for every employee to have $20,000 in life insurance provided by the business owner, the cost on a yearly basis for that business owner is only $715.20. When we look at $30,000 in this particular case, and again, it was 12 employees, men and women, various age, various incomes. $30,000 worth of coverage is about $1,072 a year. $50,000 in coverage comes out to be almost $1,800 a year. $75,000 worth of coverage for every employee is about $2,600 and change a year. And again, if we went with the max to provide every one of these employees with $100,000 worth of guaranteed issued life insurance, 12 employees, it would only cost that business owner $3,570 a year. I think that's a pretty good value for what the employees are getting and what that owner is able to do to them. Again, why would an owner offer Reliance Standard and pay for a benefit for their employees? Because they have an issue in another area and the perceived value of this benefit is much greater than the cost to that business owner. Here's Easy Shield, which has some great information. Telemedicine, again, it talks about what is in it for that consumer, $25 per visit. The cost to the business owner is illustrated here as well. Employer paid disability, which is the other reason why we ran the quote. Again, this is through Reliance Standard. Here's some information on why disability. Here's some information again on the type of coverage. And again, taking a look at this cost, in this scenario, it would be only $2,642 a year for that business owner to provide long-term disability for all 12 of his employees. And if he went with the 180-day elimination period instead of the 90, it's a little less expensive, coming out to be $2,056 a year for all 12 of those employees to have Reliance Standard's long-term disability paid for by the business owner. Information on Aflac's Smart Claim or one-day pay service. And reminding them, point, click, and enroll. Thank you. So that's a proposal, and I think it looks pretty good. What we've been able to do now is collect the information we need so that we are able to run rates and put together a couple different solutions for that business owner based on the Reliance Standard data, the partner carrier information, as well as the Aflac info. Now we are back here at Setup. We've presented to the business owner. They know what they want to do. We're ready to create the plan year. Step 1, basic information of creating the plan year. The first thing the computer wants to know is, are we offering Aflac only products, or are we going to include partner carriers? So we would check that accordingly. Aflac only does include our value-added services of MeMD and Easy Shield. In this case, we are offering Reliance Standard long-term disability and life that is employer paid. I'm going to leave this blank and empty because we are offering Reliance Standard. Cafeteria plan. Are these benefits that the employees pay for going to be on a pre or after tax basis? This is going to be a pre-tax group, so I select cafeteria plan. So we are offering other products, Reliance Standard, so I do not check the first box. This is a pre-tax group, so I do check the second. One of the rules when we offer Reliance Standard or any other partner carrier is that we have to complete the enrollment 15 days prior to the effective date. This is important so that they can get the information to the consumers as well as to the business owners and get that first invoice paid in full and on time. In this case, we're going to set the enrollment dates for, let's say, the 10th, and it'll go through March 14th for a 4/1 effective date. Now again, the enrollment dates, that's up to you. Continue. Here, the census has already been brought in, so we don't need to update the census again. If there's any additional employees that we need to add, we could choose to manually input them, or we could update the census accordingly. Continue. Again, it asks us if we're planning on offering United Healthcare. We are not. Here's where you select the plan choices. What policies are we offering in this particular group? If we don't select them here, they will not show up in the Everwell portal to be a choice for the employees to enroll in. In this case, we are going to do the accident plan, hospital, cancer, disability, all provided by Aflac. We're going to do fraud protection, telemedicine, both are value-added services, and the business owner has agreed to pay for the Reliance Standard, long-term disability, and life. So we're going to select those tiles. Again, it's going to give you the reminder that they have to be in business a year in order to make these employer-paid benefits available. Now that we've selected all the products we're offering, we hit continue. Now we'll go through each of those choices and decide what levels and so on that are going to be available. In this particular case, we're doing off-the-job accident only. In this particular case, we'll offer all levels except for option H of the hospital plan. In this particular case, because the business owner is paying for long-term disability that kicks in after 6 months, we're going to choose Aflac short-term disability that pays up to 6 months. And we're going to select that on an after-tax basis or post-tax. Here, we're going to select all levels of the cancer plan, allowing people with all sorts of incomes to make a buying decision around cancer coverage that's affordable for them. The basic life. In this particular case, the business owner has agreed to $20,000 worth of life insurance for each of their employees. We're going to select fraud protection, telemedicine. In this particular case, the employer is paying $2 a month per employee for his employees to have telemedicine, access to a doctor using technology such as cell phones, computers, etc. And long-term disability paid for by the employer. As I mentioned, in this case, they're doing it with the 180-day elimination period, so we select RSLI, we read the disclaimer, and then we hit continue. Again, this is an overview of the plan choices. Again, if we didn't select it, we're not going to be able to enroll it. This is why I chose all the levels of hospital and all the levels of cancer, because we want to make sure we can accommodate everybody's needs. In this particular case, I did off-the-job accident only, and the logic behind that is the business owner doesn't want to incentivize people to get hurt on the job. So again, if they get hurt off the job, this is good for the business owner because they might use their Aflac policies. It reduces workers' comp claim experience, can lower their EMOD rate, and potentially save them tens of thousands of dollars in time. So the 24/7, 365 accident plan is a great product. But in this scenario, the business owner and the agent agree that they're only going to offer the off-the-job accident. So again, whatever we selected here will be plan choices for the employees during the enrollment. Click Continue. This is just a recap of everything that we did. If you want to sort it, you can by type of plans to take a look at exactly what choices you made. Here's the carrier form. We're going to go through AFLAC as well as Reliance Standard. The AFLAC carrier form is going to search with our headquarters to see if any of the policy holders that are part of this group are on that census, and it's going to import in their existing policies. With the Reliance Standard, what it's going to do is it's going to fill out the contract, which is similar to the MO138 or account activation on demand call that we would make with AFLAC. In this case, it's done electronically, and we'll go through that process. We'll start with the AFLAC form and click Start Form. Continue. No existing policies are found. And now that's ready. Next is the Reliance Standard. We're going to start the form. We're going to cut the video here and skip through this, but you just go through and answer every question that is needed based on the information you've received from the business owner. Again, this would be a legal document. This is the contract that they're signing. The way they sign it is electronically. They're going to get an email, they log into the Everwell platform, and they can agree to the terms and conditions. I believe it's in the best interest of the agent to assist with that process. So that would be another appointment that they would sit down there with. Again, we're going to skip to the end, but check this cost out. Again, they're offering long-term disability to all their employees that kicks in after 180 days, and it's just over $2,000 a year. They're giving all their employees $20,000 for the life insurance, and that's just over $700 a year. So for less than $2,800 a year, this particular business owner is able to provide long-term disability, life insurance, and telemedicine and fraud protection to all of their employees. As you can see here, we're waiting on group approval. Once that is approved, it'll have green check marks all the way across. We're going to go ahead and continue. Again, this is your last chance before you lock up the plan year to review and take a look at anything needs to be changed. We're going to submit to the group administrator, and this is where an email is being sent to the HR or business owner. Again, in the lab experience, you put in your personal email address so that you can act as that HR or business owner and follow the next steps. You will get an email, but even if that has gone to junk or spam, you really just need to go to the main page, click the register button, register as a first-time user, and follow the prompts after that. We're going to go ahead and submit so that email gets sent. Now the group is set up. We're not ready to enroll. You can see I just got the email from support@everwellbenefits.com. We're going to scroll down here, and you can see that the status of the group set up in progress. So what we need is to have that HR, that business owner, in this case us, pretending to be them because we're in the lab environment, approve the plan offerings. Let me show you what that would look like. Here you'd come to the Everwell page, or in the lab experience, the lab, click register. You would put in your personal email address and follow the prompts to set a password so that you can come in and access. Since I've already done this several times, I already have a username and password. My username is my email address, my personal email address. My password is the password I've chosen, which I'm not going to tell you. So I've put in my personal email address, and now I enter in the password. Check the box and sign in as the administrator. Here it is, February 2017 new case. Click the Manage button. Here are the next steps that the admin or business owner need to review and approve. It's a pretty simple process, but again, I think it's best practice that you sit down with them as they go over this. That way questions can be addressed in the moment instead of via email and back and forth. We're going to review the terms and conditions. They can read through this and ask any questions that they like. So it might behoove you to get familiar with what these are. Agree to the terms. Next, they're going to review their company information to make sure everything is correct and confirm. Confirm the employee census. And if they need to make changes or if they want to upload the census, let's say this was blank, they could look at the census template here and they could upload it themselves. So they have functionality or capabilities rather of uploading the census themselves. So we're going to confirm the census. We're going to review the plan choices. And again, this outlines everything that we're offering in this particular group. I love this because it allows us to be very transparent with the benefit offerings that we are providing. This prevents our competitors from coming in and saying that they didn't do this or they did do that. This shows everything that they agreed on. Included down here, it has language around our fraud protection and telemedicine as well. We confirm those, and then last but not least, we're going to review the carrier documents. Here's where they will sign the basically MO138 equivalent or AAOD call equivalent of the Reliance Standard contract. And if there's any problems with the contract, they would send that back to the broker, which would be you, for review. So again, they can go through this. If there's an issue, they can flag for producer, send that back to you for you to correct and update, and then send back to them to sign. So again, best practice, be sitting down there with them. Here's where they're going to sign their name. Approve carrier documents. Last thing is approve and submit the plan year. Now that the administrator has approved all the offerings, an email has been sent to you so that you can continue with next steps. Before we get to that, this is the HR or admin or business owner portal. This is what they can access and what they can take a look at. I think this is very important and an underutilized portion of Everwell. You know, they can take a look at their employees. They can upload the census. They can look at the login history of each of their employees to see if they're logging in, taking a look at their benefits throughout the year prior to registration, etc. Pending enrollments, if there's any applications that are pending, such as larger life cases and things like that, and they can search for their employees. Very similar to what we do when we're conducting an enrollment. They can take a look at the plan year. And here, this shows all the different offerings. It includes the brochures, the videos for each of the plans, and the offerings that we have. This is a great reference point for them to come back to. This acts as a service binder online. So as long as they can access this, they can take a look at everything that we've created and provided for them. If they have information or would like information on the different carriers, here we go. Define contribution or define benefits. Those choices can be set up in here, and the admin can do that, or most likely you'll be the one doing that. And they can review their HR checklist, which is everything that they just went through and agreed upon. Another thing are the reports. There are several reports that can be run with regards to enrollment, demographics, and payroll. Again, in a small little 12-life case, this is a great benefit. In a larger case, this is a phenomenal benefit. And then last but not least, the settings. They can add an additional administrator to the Everwell portal. That way they have somebody else inside their corporate office that can help with all of these other resources and tools. And what I like is the portal content. Here, if they wanted to edit what the portal looks like, right now we have a couple situations where they can do that. For instance, during open enrollment, we can edit this panel. And if this was a doctor's office, we could change the look so that it shows people wearing scrubs. So those are just a few of the things that the administrator, HR, or owner can take a look at while they're in here. We're going to close out and we're going to go back into the Everwell portal. So now we're back here at the login page. Put in your username and password. And in this scenario, we've kind of fast forward through time. Remember when we set up the group, we had an open window there where we weren't going to be doing the enrollment until the 10th. This is us fast forwarding through time. Now it's the 10th. We're logging in and we're ready to go see those employees. So here we have a whole list of all the groups. You can run a search over here and it'll pull up just those cases that have that group number or that name in the title. Or you can run it by group size, group status. In this case, I want to go to the groups that are in enrollment. And as you can see, my February 2017 new case is in enrollment. We're going to click that. Here we are. What are the next steps? If I need to add a producer, I can come here. We can add a producer. We can also add a broker or a new associate that is not yet Everwell certified. For more information on that, watch the video called Splits. Commissions. We have several different types of commissions in here. The default commission basically is the commission that the computer will, for lack of a better term, default to unless you make additional changes. The Aflac commissions is where you're going to want to create any additional SIT codes or commission splits that you would need to in this particular case. And again, for more information on that, you can refer to the video called Splits. Reliance Standard commissions is also set up in here. This is relevant in a case where we have a level 1 producer that is invited in somebody else. The level 1 producer will not receive the commissions on Reliance Standard because they haven't leveled up and gotten appointed. So this is where Reliance Standard commissions comes in. The next tab up here is enrollments. We don't have anything relevant in the enrollments yet because we haven't conducted the enrollment yet. And then last but not least here, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, account activation on demand pre-call worksheet. This is information that will help you with that AAOD call. So when you set up the group as a prospect, you can start filling the information in here. So when the client says yes, they want to move forward, you have everything you need to do to make that welcome call to Aflac. One last thing on this page is the notes section. Here's you can put in some notes communicating to your future self. A common note might be that the business owner was on the fence between $20,000 and $50,000 with a life insurance. He settled on $20,000 but would like to possibly increase for the next year. So you can put that in there and save that as a note. For now, we're going to get ready to see the employees, so we're going to go to Group Portal, click Employees. We're going to do an employee search, and from here we have the employees. Now in a best case scenario, we would have been effective at sending an email or notification out to the employees so that they would have already registered and gone in and taken a look at the platform. This is one of those scenarios where that didn't happen. And I don't like that we're even presenting this solution, because really when the employees pre-register, we get a much better turnout and much better experience for the owner, for the employees, and for the agents. But in the lab, we're going to experience it like this. Let's say that I'm enrolling Brian Hanley here and he's not registered. I can simply put not registered, and now it'll ask me for his social. Now if you read, it says if you would like to, you can add a Social Security number now to expedite the registration process. Otherwise, please click Continue without entering a Social Security number. If you click Continue without entering in a Social Security number, you will have to use an email or a cell phone number for verification. Now in the lab, it's going to be a challenge to constantly be using an email or a cell phone for verification. The email is great for pre-registering. It's not really good for in the moment. So the text messaging would be a little better than an email, right? Now they check their smartphone and they get a confirmation code and they can enter that in. But the best and the fastest way, since these people are buying stuff from you, is to get their Social Security number. That'll help with the registration process. It also helps with the claim experience later. In the lab, you're going to have to kind of make up some Social Security numbers that hopefully nobody else has played with before. So write down the number that you're using so that you can enter it in a second time here in a moment. Okay, back to socials. Here's the social. It's going to ask you to register. At this point, I would have the employee enter in their Social Security number. That's kind of a check and balance to make sure we entered in everything correctly. And then the employee can select Submit. Welcome, Brian. That's the employee. Let's complete your registration. In the next steps, you'll be asked to create a password and security questions to complete your personal and dependent information. Continue. I would look to that employee and say, your username is going to be B. Hanley. What password would you like to enter? And go ahead and enter it in there. Keep in mind it needs to be 8 characters and it is case sensitive. So the employee would enter in their password. Again, in the real world, let them pick their password so that they can access this 24/7, 365. We do not choose their passwords for them. I believe that's the equivalent of signing somebody's name, and we know we're not supposed to do that. Continue. Again, here's where they're going to select some security questions. What is your childhood nickname? What was the name of your first stuffed animal? There's a drop-down menu so they can choose from different security questions and then they would enter in their answer. Again, in the lab, I would choose something that you would remember so that you can come back and experience what that employee looks like and goes through. In the real world, this needs to be their information. Let them choose it. Let them click continue. They're going to verify their personal information. You can help assist with putting in their job duties and job titles. Some of this information is optional now. You may have to enter it in later. I like to always switch it over to electronic policy preference. That way they get information via email instead of mailing those policies, but let the consumer make that decision. They'll enter in their personal information, or you can drive for them and enter it in. And if you had the full census, this information might have been populated in already. Last but not least, do you want to input any dependents? No, not at this time. Now here we are on the employee portal. We have two tabs up at the top. We have the Everwell portal, which is the portal where the producer and the administrators will kind of live and work. And now we have a different tab. This is now the employee portal. This is where the enrollment happens. Okay? So from here, we can either go to enroll or get started, but this is some of the information on this front page that they would see if they had pre-registered. Now, because we set up the group to have them pre-register for 5 days before the enrollment, the next thing that we show you, the enrollment, they would not have seen prices on anything. They wouldn't have had that choice. But now that we're in the enrollment, they will see pricing on things because you're sitting down next to them. But I just think this is great. I mean, it shows you all the different providers down here. It shows you all different brochures and videos that they can look through. They can scroll through and see all these different benefits and offerings. I think that this sends a message that a brochure and a paper application and an S&G computer just can't do. You know, if I'm looking at this benefit portal as an employee, and I have access to this 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I'm excited about the place of business that I currently work. So let's go to get started. And here, the first thing it's going to show them is a reminder of all the benefits the employer is taking care of. Life and accidental death and dismemberment of $20,000, telemedicine by MeMD, and long-term disability. That's pretty cool. We're going to click continue, and it goes through the process of enrolling in those products. Read the questions on the screen with that employee and continue. Here's where they'll be able to select a beneficiary. If they had entered in dependents, they would be able to use the drop-down menu to select those dependents. In this case, we could add a new beneficiary. It's going to be an individual, and we can plug in their information. Okay, once that beneficiary is added, we can select what to give them. There will be the primary and at 100%. And if we want to select a secondary beneficiary in the event the primary predeceases us, we can do that as well. Okay, so a primary is somebody that's going to get the funds. Secondary would be like the contingent beneficiary. Again, we're confirming the benefits. Continue. Read through the information, confirm and continue. If you want to take a look at supporting documents, if they had a question, you don't have to toggle out. You can simply hit documents and you can take a look at the PDF that outlines what that long-term disability does. Continue. So now 3 of 8 elections have been made. Even if they're not participating in something, we want them to make an election. We want them to waive or decline that coverage. So in a perfect world, people would be able to afford all of our benefits and services, and then they'd never have to use them, right? But in this case, I want to show you what it looks like for somebody to decline coverage. So we're going to start by just declining the cancer plan. We're going to view plans, simply click decline. This is asking for the agent the information. This is where you're going to put in your username and password. Now, because I've used this computer before, it's pre-populating for me. Just be careful with that. you want to make sure that you remember your username and password so that you can continue the enrollment. At this point, I click Enroll, and here is where I would have the employee click Confirm. Are you sure you want to decline the cancer coverage? Please click Confirm to decline this coverage. So the employee uses the mouse, clicks Confirm. So now 4 of 8 elections have been made, including the cancer policy that has been declined. And as you can see, the long-term telemedicine and life insurance are all listed there as well. So let's go ahead and enroll in some policies. Accident plan, they're going to get the off the job. So here we have the Accident Advantage off the job application. We're going to go through the plan details and the actual application. I just wanted to remind you that there are documents in here. So if the employee wanted more information, you could click Documents, pull up the PDFs, and show them different things. There's also a video so that they could watch a short 2-minute video reminding them the value that this accident insurance provides them. In this case, we're not going to watch the video. We don't really need to look at the documents. So we're just going to continue with the plan design. I'm going to continue through this. A question that comes up often is, can we do conversions on the accident policy? And the answer is yes. You just have to read and answer this question. If this is intended to replace something, we click yes. It opens it up and it wants the policy number, just like it does on other applications. And then you would continue. In this case, they do not have an accident policy already, so we keep it selected at no. Are you actively at work? Yes, I am. Is this insurance intended to replace any other health insurance? No, it's not. Again, ask the questions. I'm not going to read every question to you during this tutorial, but you would read every single question to the client. Here's where they can decline or approve riders. To learn more about each rider, again, there's a PDF that you would click that would open it up in another window. Down here at the bottom, I want to show you that this is tallying their contribution toward this particular policy. So for $5.25 a week, this employee can get this benefit. If they were to choose the Aflac Plus rider, you can see that it updates the dollars down here, and now it's $6.27. We're going to continue. Read the questions and answer them and continue. Let the employee put their initials in there. Again, read the statement, have the employee initial. Here, check the boxes that are needed for the application. If you don't check anything and continue, it'll highlight in red the things that you should have checked. Electronic delivery notice, because earlier we selected electronic instead of paper. Aflac Plus rider, because that's a benefit we chose. And outline of coverage, because that's something we need to include with all of our plan offerings. Continue. Here's the application. You can go through it with them, show them, make sure everything is correct and that we didn't leave anything out. When you get to the bottom of the application, this is where it's going to ask for their e-signature. So they're going to go ahead and print in their name. So I'm going to put. Now again, normally you wouldn't put employee. I just did that so you could see a difference between Brian Hanley, the agent, and Brian Hanley, the employee. Now, I believe the reason why they allow electronic signatures is because they have their own unique username and password. And although we assigned them the username, they selected their own password. Same thing with you. We're allowing an electronic signature because you have a unique username and password that nobody else has. Compromising that is the equivalent of somebody else signing your name in my mind's eye, in my opinion. So again, I think that they need to type this in there, click submit, and now they've completed 5 of 8 elections, right? Here with the short-term disability, again, depending on which benefit you elect and which monthly benefit you decide, it'll change the cost down here per week for that employee. In this case, let's say they're doing a 0-7 day benefit and they're going to sign up for the maximum they're eligible for, which is $1,200. Again, it's going to update the weekly cost to that employee down there. If you notice, it also defaults to automatically post-tax. You can change that to pre-tax. Value riders, you'll choose to either enroll or decline. In this scenario, we're just going to decline. Read through the statement and have them give their initials. Same thing as before. If you click continue, it'll highlight in red the things you need. Otherwise, it'll go straight to the application. Scroll through the application, make sure everything is correct. And when you get to the bottom, the employee is going to go ahead and put in their information and sign their name and click submit. 6 down, 2 to go. The employee is going to enter in their name again. This is their e-signature, and they will hit submit. 7 of 8 elections are now completed. The employee is spending a total of $26.04 per week. Look at all the cool things they're getting. Now I'm going to do the fraud protection. Read the statement, hit continue, enroll, continue, confirm. Now this employee has all 8 elections. Look at how diverse and well-rounded that benefit selection is. At this point, depending on your relationship with that consumer, you might want to go back in and say, you know, you've declined our cancer policy. You've got all these other 7 policies, which are great. It's costing you about $26.04 a week. We take a look at the cancer, and we can start you with some cancer coverage as little as $3.21 per week. Would you like to add cancer for an additional $3.21? And then you just stay quiet. They say yes, they say no. If they say yes, you can continue down the process. If they say no, you can close that out and leave it as is. Great, you still have a wide array of benefits and you're very well covered. Keep in mind your employer is paying for some of these things. If we want to view the details on any of this stuff, here's what you can take a look at. And we can proceed to election summary, which will show you the details of each of the benefits that you've elected or participated in. If ever you have any questions, you can always log back into this platform as an employee, and you can take a look at the stuff that you participated in. For instance, if you have information, if you would like information on fraud protection, you can come here, click that arrow, and you can take a look at some general information, which will take you straight to their website. They have their 800 number, or you can go ahead and log in to take advantage of your coverage. If you want to take a look at the brochure to remind you what the fraud protection is covering, again, you can click that link and it'll pull up for you so that you can go through and you can print or you can read through this, whatever your heart desire. In addition to the fraud protection, if you have questions about telemedicine, same thing. We have the website. This will pull up and take you directly to the website in which you'll be able to log in or reach out to the MeMD Doctors Now. The 800 number is on there as well. If you just want to take a look at the brochure to print and have available to you, you can do that here also. Heaven forbid something should happen and you should be injured and need to receive medical treatment. You know, Aflac is known for being able to process and pay quickly with our one-day pay, so that when you're hurt or sick and miss work, you never really miss a payday. Of the Aflac policies, you have the accident, hospital, and short-term disability. So again, logging back in the platform, let's say you had an accident, you'd be able to come here and click right on that claims link, and it'll take you right to our one-day pay portal, where you can log into your account and you can start processing that claim from the comfort of your own home, hospital room, or hospital bed. Wherever you are, you have access to this 24 hours, 7 days a week. And if that disability should take you out of the workforce for a period of time, and you need to take a look at your long-term disability. Again, we have the website as well as the brochure that you can click, and it'll take you right to the information that you need to go ahead and start processing that. So everything you need is right here on the Everwell platform. It is your one-stop shop for benefits. We have other resources as well as support, and as always, you can feel free to reach out to me. As your address or family status or anything changes, you'll be able to make updates and changes right here. All of this you can communicate to that consumer. And the idea is that when you leave, they have a place, the Everwell platform, to go back into and take a look and remind themselves of all the good choices they made. Take a look at the websites for fraud protection. Take a look at the website for telemedicine or for Reliance Standard, so that you don't have to be an expert in everything. You just have to guide people to the right place. Wrap it up with the associate by saying, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and sign you out, and I appreciate your time. So now we've logged out, and we come back to the employee portal where they would log in. Before they leave, make sure that they have the things that they need to come back to this website in 3 weeks, 3 months, or sometime later. They need their username. And again, in this scenario, it was B. Hanley, their first initial and their last name. They're going to need their password. Well, the employee came up with their own password, so they should know that. They're going to need the group number. So make sure you look up and give them that group number for that particular case. And they're also going to need the website. Now, in the lab, the website is training.everwellbenefits.com. In the real world, it's simply everwellbenefits.com. So write down or give them a card with everwellbenefits.com on it. Maybe put down their username, which is B. Hanley, and maybe put down the group number, which might be AB123. I hope this tutorial helps. Everwell is a great solution-based portal that helps not only our business owners, it helps the employees, and when positioned and used correctly, it will help you. Thank you for your time.